I need to know. I need to know, yeah. Is it programming, social media, or a secret to uncover? So educating, so wise, informative and bright eyes. What's the evaluating game? Revelation is the aim.
I need to know, I need to know, I need to know. You need to know, you need to know, you need to know. We all need to know. What do you need to know? What do I need to know? What do we all need to know? Today, by the special grace of God, we are going to be looking at the book of Genesis chapter 1, verse 25 to 27, versus Genesis chapter 2, verse 18 to 19. Many people thought that these books contradict each other. But as I used to say, there is no Bible, there is no chapter or verses that contradict each other. Instead, they complement each other. So this is one of the classic examples Bible reader raises when discussing apparent difference between the two creations accounts in the book of Genesis chapter 1 and the book of Genesis chapter 2. But let's carefully unpack this hermeneutically, verse by verse, in context. So the text in question, which is Genesis chapter 1, verse 25 to 27, says, "And God made the beasts of the earth after his kind, and cattle after their kind, and everything that creepeth upon the earth after this kind. And God saw that it was good. And God said, Let us make man in our own image, after our likeness. So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him, male and female." In summary of this Bible verse, animals were created before humankind. Animals were created before humankind. Humanity, that is male and female, was created together in God's image. This is a universal view. Genesis chapter 1 is all about universal view, that is universal overview. The chronological and the global account of creation is all about sequences, how God created the whole world. It's chronological and a global account. Let's look at the book of Genesis chapter 2, verse 18 to 19. Bible says, "And the Lord said, It is not good that man should be alone. I will make him an help meet for him. And out of the ground the Lord God formed every beast of the field and every fowl of the air, and brought them unto Adam to see what he will call them." So the summary of this place, Genesis chapter 2, is all about here God formed animals. After man appears in narrative, it seems as if God formed animals. After man appears in narrative, the woman is later created as helper for the man. This is a logic, this is local, this is relational focus. This is when you zoom in on human life in Eden. But you have to know the book of Genesis, also the summary is about animals were created before mankind. Humanity, male and female, was created together in God's image. This is a universal overview. But Genesis chapter 2 is all about God formed animals. After man appears in the narrative, the woman is later created as a helper for man. This is a local. It's not universal. It's not a overview. It's a local relational focus. Zooming in, particularly in the life of man in Eden. What are the apparent contradictions? The apparent contradiction that people thought that the book contradicts each other. At first glance, Genesis chapter 1, animals first. Genesis chapter 1, animals first. Man and woman next. Genesis chapter 2, man first. Animal formed next. Woman last. You see the sequence. Genesis chapter 1 talked about animal first. later man, later woman. Genesis chapter 2 talks about a man first, animal, later woman. So many assumes this means there is a contradiction. That is, why is it that animal, man, and woman? Genesis chapter 1. Chapter 2 talks about a man first, animal, later woman. So there's a mix-up. Are you sure there's a mix-up? No. Many assume this means there is a contradiction, but carefully, hermeneutics reveal otherwise. Don't forget, we are dealing with hermeneutics, and hermeneutics is the act of Bible interpretation. So, hermeneutical interpretation, different purpose of the two chapters. Genesis chapter 1, the perspective is all about the cosmic, that is the universal, focuses the order of all creation, that is the chronological and the sequences. Genesis chapter 2 talks about the perspective of the local relational. That is, it focuses on the details of human creation and Edenic life, that is, the life in the Garden of Eden. Genesis chapter 1 focuses on the order of all the creation, the sequence. Genesis chapter 2 deals with details of human creation and the life in the Garden of Eden. Genesis chapter 1 gives the broad outline, the what and when of creation. Genesis chapter 1 gives the broad outline, the what and the when of creation. Whereas Genesis chapter 2 zooms in to give specifics. Then Genesis chapter 2 gives specific of the how and why of human relationship and responsibility. Not like Genesis chapter 1 that gives broad outline, the what and when the creation. But Genesis chapter 2 zoom in, focuses in particular, specific of the how and why of human relationships and responsibility. Thus, Genesis chapter 2 is not a second creation. You have to know Genesis chapter 2 is not the second creation, but a complementary account. Genesis chapter 2 is complementing Genesis chapter 1. It's a complementary account focused on the human story within the already created world. Genesis chapter 1 focus on the broad outline, the how and the when the creation took place. But Genesis chapter 2 zoom in on the specific on how and why human relationships and responsibility. The relationship with God and the responsibility in the Garden of Eden. Whereas, thus, Genesis chapter 2 is not a second creation, but a complementary account to complement Genesis chapter 1. Account that is to focus on the human story. It's not more focusing on the creation, on the animals, on the water. No, now, Genesis chapter 2 is not focusing majorly on the story of human and already created world. I think you understand that one. So tomorrow we continue with part 2. At least we've laid the foundation that there's no place that the Bible contradicts each other. Genesis chapter 1 gives broad line the what and when the creation. Genesis chapter 2 zoom in, focus in particular, the specific, the how and the why of human relationship with God and the responsibility of man in the Garden of Eden. So Genesis chapter 1, cosmics, it talks about the order of creation, the chronological sequences. Genesis chapter 2 talks about the local relationship. Now the local relationship, the details of human creation and Edenic life. So there's no place that Bible contradicts each other. So tomorrow we continue on the book of Genesis chapter 1 and the book of Genesis chapter 2 particularly the book of Genesis chapter 1, verse 25 to 27, and the book of Genesis chapter 2, verse 18 to 19. God bless you. Help us here. Tomorrow part 2. We are waiting and I'm waiting. Shalom.